All right.
Princesses of the world.
We are tech geniuses in our virtual studs. It's
Mhm.
looking good.
Yep.
All right. How you doing this week, Caitlin? What sparked some joy for you? I feel like we all need joy right now. So that's the question. It's $1 million question.
I feel
Help.
like so much joy. I'm so freaking busy. Don't have a second. But like I told you when I saw you earlier this week, it's like everything I'm doing, I'm obsessed with. I'm like, I want more of everything, but like, don't have a second to pee.
Yeah. It's no time for more.
Priority in my life anymore. I don't have time for you. You don't bring me joy, so I'm not doing it.
Honestly, I think that's the energy that like we all need right
Full
now.
bladders, happy thought, can't lose. That's my theme. I don't have time to go to the bathroom anymore. So
Full hearts and full bladders. One thing that sparked joy for me is this press tour by Keke Palmer and Issa Rae and SZA for their new movie that just came out.
okay.
I feel like we need comedy right now. We need giggles. We need laughter. And the way that Keke Palmer just like oozes charisma and is so freaking funny. Plus, just to see, like 3 women absolutely crushing it, like also the energy we need right now. But like, I
Yeah.
kid you not, I was getting so overwhelmed with like just every social media post being like, Trump just did this, Trump just did that, that I just searched like Keke Palmer funny clips and just let that be my feed.
Love
And it was
that.
nice. It was nice.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. We need some comedy,
I completely know. I love that.
We're a pro giggle podcast for sure.
We're trying here.
Yeah.
Trying to either laugh or cry. We're here with you.
LOL. Okay, so also we love a segue. Also in this same note, we want some positive news, some good news. So Caitlin, I feel like I'm like at church. Will you lead us in prayer?
What we do in prayer. Everyone listen. Oh my God, imagine if I had that voice and we could just like bop, Said the whole
Like
thing.
some nice Christian rock.
Say it with me, sisters. All right. All right. So, good news this week. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Snaps for you, babe. Snaps for you. She signed some legislation. She's allowing pharmacists to prescribe birth control directly to her patients. So a direct quote from her. Currently, 1/3 of Michigan counties are experiencing a shortage of obstetricians. It's always a tough word for me.
So hard.
So hard. And gynecologists, meaning these families have to wait months or travel long distances just to access basic health care. So this kind of takes that out of the equation and you can get direct birth control right from your pharmacies. She also signed a law that requires insurers to cover the cost of birth control, which is kind of wild. Like, why would we have insurance if it didn't cover these things? Like, what?
Yeah.
You have to have it, but like, you don't have to cut what?
Yeah. But like without them literally putting that into law, insurers can claim like it's against their religious freedoms or whatever.
Separation of church and state. Remember that thing? Giggle.
Like scream it from the rooftops. Like full stop.
Like,
what are we doing here?
seriously. Okay. 30 states and DC allow pharmacists to prescribe contraceptives. So it's good to see that some states are being loud and proud about supporting women's access to healthcare. So even though someone that's a little orange has a really loud voice, the majority of people are against. So we're going to leave it there. Positive.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, obviously, we are being inundated with like scary stuff coming from, a bunch of different anti-abortion states and obviously from the big guy himself. But there is good stuff happening. And I feel like it's also really important to like focus on that,
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we do have to talk about some of the caca. So we'll talk about it. But we're not going to talk about everything. We're going to keep it to like one. It's kind of 2 stories wrapped in one. And it's going to be fast. We're only in 5 minutes. Like, we're doing great. But I feel like, one, it is a tactic like we talked about in the last episode, maybe, that like we're being flooded with chaos, right? Like every time you open up social media, every time you turn on the news, like getting all of these email notifications of like this executive order, and he did this, and he froze this, and he did that. And I think it's like supposed to make us all freeze and then like be like, nope, no, not paying attention to any of it. So like, here's what you need to know. It's not fully inclusive, but like, if you want to know some more, follow us on social media, and all that is linked in our show notes. Cool? Okay. Let's boogie. Let me get that one out. I literally just snorted boogers out of my nose from the force of that cough. So here we go. I also sneezed boogers all over my hand today. So we're there. We're in a purge phase, I think, right now of the germs. Anywho, okay, so we're like basically 1 week, couple days into the Trump administration, and they made it very clear about what their stance on abortion is. Although they tried to kind of like ignore that question all during their election campaign. So that kind of comes with like a few different steps, and they all sort of like tie into each other. So one, on his first day in office, he signed an anti-trans executive order. And within that, which we talked about on social media a little bit, within that, it had language that kind of alludes to that like fetal personhood, life begins at conception. So they snuck that language in. Some people raised red flags about it. And then at the anti-abortion rally, March for Life, which also happened the week of inauguration, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, all spoke at it. Also important to know that Donald Trump is the only president to ever have spoken at this rally. Like, this is not just like a party thing. This is a Christian nationalist thing. Okay, let's make that real clear. Because I know we have some party diehards and
read the Bible.
Yeah, like get a grip. Anyways, so you can watch all the videos online. Maybe we'll link to some of them like on our Instagram or something. But just a few quick clips from there. J.D. Vance said, our society has failed to recognize the obligation that one generation has to another is a core part of living in a society to begin with. So let me say very simply, I want more babies in the United States of America. He also said, we march to protect the unborn. We march to proclaim and live out the sacred truth that every single child is a miracle and a gift from God. Literally, separation of church and state. Who? Like, I don't really actually give a rip what your thought about God is. I could not care less. If that's your thought, go off. Keep it out of the news. Keep it out of your speeches about your administration, biatch. Okay, and then Trump also spoke and said that we will protect the historic gains we have made, aka overturning Roe versus Wade. That's his claim to fame.
Which, like, most Americans don't support.
Yeah, like, let's never get that twisted. Even among Republicans, the majority of Americans support access to abortion care. So he said, we will protect the historic gains we have made and stop the radical Democrat push for a federal right for unlimited abortion on demand up to the moment of birth and even after birth. Think of that. After birth? And some people want that. Can you believe it? Like, it's so disappointing because it's just made up complete lies. You know? Like, there are no post-birth abortions, and there is a very slim number of late-term abortions that are happening really in like emergency scenarios. So just like, and then Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, received erupting applause when he celebrated that anti-trans order and basically confirmed that language is a tool. He declared that people are divided into male and female at conception. And again, that's the loophole that anti-abortion organizations have been trying to go for, which basically states that embryos and fetuses should be granted full legal rights and protections. So if that was actually enacted, it would create a total outlaw on abortion, as well as potentially criminalize abortion patients and those who help them to get their care. Yeah. So not to scare you, because these executive orders are not put into law immediately. There is due process. It needs to be approved by Congress. So we don't need to go into instant panic mode. But I think while we want to ignore some of the chaos, we also want to look at exactly what they're saying and what they're doing. Yeah. And then the final little piece of that, kind of in conjunction with that March for Life rally, Trump pardoned 23 anti-abortion extremists last week, claiming, again, lies, because all he does is lie, because the truth is never on his side, claiming that they're elderly, they're peaceful, they just were wrongfully convicted. But really, the reality is their efforts were organized invasions using physical force, chains, ropes, locks. They were planned. They were live streamed to their extremist followers. They're bullies. They're violent. They're dangerous. Literally, one of them, and I'm going to post on social, so like just go there for a funny yet like scary deep dive of a few of them. But like, one of them literally was found with 5 fetuses in her fridge.
What?
Yes, because she stole fetal remains from a clinic. She was also found to have been arrested over 30 times within her activism. Like, these are people that are literally, chaining themselves in front of doors, slamming nurses' hands indoors, like causing absolute chaos for hours while women are suffering medical emergencies and begging to be let in to have care.
Wow.
So that whole thing is kind of related to just like how they don't have to pass a national abortion ban if they're like emboldening lawmakers to find loopholes, if they're emboldening anti-abortion extremists to go to the ends of the earth to do what they need to do. He also changed, so a lot of those people were put in jail because of this one act. I think it's called the FACE Act. I can't remember exactly, but basically protecting citizens' rights to be able to access a health clinic, which was put in place in like the early 90s, after clinics were being bombed, doctors were being murdered, like crazy stuff. And he put out a memo like changing the language, saying that this administration will only enforce it under extreme circumstances, like resulting in death. So basically saying like, do whatever you got to do, just like don't off anyone, you know?
Casual.
So that's that. That's what you need to know from week 1. Good stuff. Caitlin, again, would you like to lead us in some prayer? Would you like to lead us in our mental health moment?
Oh my God. Yeah. So I was like, I need to make this more positive because everything's
Because we all
however, it's a little negative, but like I'm gonna twist it. I'm gonna do a little sick twist to it. So I was writing a paper about kind of my reflection in one of my courses, and this course is on traumatic events within your life and how you can counsel people through it. And when I was doing my reflection, I was writing about my own personal anxiety. And so I looked up quick facts about anxiety, and it kind of made me feel a little bit less alone. So although sad, you're not alone if you're facing anxiety, because 40 million Americans are, which is crazy. And then further into that, we were learning about how a lot of people with anxiety have like physical symptoms associated with it, and you don't even know that it's because of your anxiety. And now there's a lot of research coming out that counselors can use particular mindfulness techniques to kind of work out those physical symptoms. And it's not like a one-time thing. It takes a long time, but if you're suffering from anxiety, maybe you have like knots in your belly, or like for me, like my jaw gets really tight. And so we're learning that there's so much evidence about mindfulness and using visualization to kind of like release those physical symptoms that you're experiencing. So if you're working with a practitioner, maybe this can be a conversation that you can have, kind of encourage you to seek out a treatment that works for you, and visualization might be your thing. So try it.
I love that. So great. Okay, lastly, we want to end these episodes with like one action step that each of us has done to encourage you to just like pick one thing that you can do. It can be as small as like deciding not to order something on Amazon and like finding a small business to order it from instead, or, you know, whatever. And like these things, again, it's not an exhaustive list of what you can do, but if we look at everything we could do, we're not going to do anything. So just one little guy. You want to kick it off?
Yeah, we actually met with a small investment brokerage. I don't know what the frick they're called. I don't know any of these terms. I sound so stupid whenever I talk to anyone about finances. I'm like, so I want to have money.
I don't.
But that's past the point. So yeah, we are moving our money out of Fidelity and we're moving it into a smaller company and working like actually like with someone rather than like a robot. So feeling a little bit more personalized and kind of like knowing where our money is.
I love that.
Yeah, it's actually a big move. It's a really big move because it takes a lot of work.
It is.
So it's not a small action step. It's a big one. And it's also like a process. This has been going on for a month right now. So we're in the phases of it.
Yeah. No, that's great. I read all these things about like how that is such a great action step, like taking your money out of these really big banks and putting them into like local credit unions and stuff, because especially if you want to like vote with your dollar, like some of these big banks are the biggest donators to some of these political campaigns. And it's like, bitch, I'm not going into credit card debt for you to be giving my money to Trump.
Exactly.
Okay, one thing that I did was subscribe to Jessica Valenti's Abortion Every Day newsletter. Like, I feel like one thing we can be doing is supporting independent publications or journalists that, you know, align with your values and you think they're doing good work, and it enables them to do that work, especially in a time where the mainstream media is kind of like a little iffy. Yeah. Love to see it.
You want her to be your mom.
Yeah, I'm like, literally, she is my queen. I'm so obsessed. All right. Well, that was it. Short, sweet, to the point. Probably the shortest episode we've ever recorded. I'm so proud of this.
Me too. That doesn't mean we can make it longer next week, though.
Yeah. Well, okay. Next week we're doing our deep dive, and I already edited it, and it's only 22 minutes.
Wow, I'm really proud of you.
And then there's a part 2 that's another like 22 minutes.
But you're like, there's 5 parts of it. I just sectioned it off.
Yeah, and they're only 20 minutes each. So what the hell is your issue?
Oh my God, I love it. Well, we love you all, and reach out on social media. We've been loving seeing everyone. We're getting a little bit more, we're getting back into it slowly but surely. So love to hear your voices. Love to see your faces. That's all she wrote.
Yeah. Love you. Mean it.
Bye. Bye.